What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dustin and Tanya podcast.
2.0.
2.0, that means we're on season 2, and I think this is episode 4?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Sure.
But today, we want to talk about some stuff that we've been going through, some stuff that we've experienced, and some stuff that we're still learning on a daily basis. And that is learning to let go. So, I think for us, the biggest lesson from letting go started in 2017 when we sold all of our stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say 2017 was definitely the start, because 2017 is when we decided to let go of the ways of the normal life of having a house, working a job, and selling all of our stuff to travel across the country. And that was like the first experience of letting go. Is that where you were headed?
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing I wanted to like maybe interject on is when you say normal, like, let's be honest, most adults have not been involved in motorcycle clubs. Like hear me. Most adults have not had to go to treatment for drugs. Most adults, women, have not had a hysterectomy. So when we say normal, our normal is different. Our path, our journey, our direction of life is different than most people.
Yeah.
But it's fairly, like, some people have been arrested, some people have got divorced, some people have went bankrupt. These were just our dark times or our situations that we got to work through, right?
Yeah.
So we worked through those. But by 2017, it got different. And what I mean by that, like, when you decide to sell everything that you own, that's not very normal.
No.
And way less normal than treatment or hysterectomy or motorcycle clubs or I dropped out of college or I got a DUI. Like,
Right.
those are all like life things.
Yeah.
But when you come back to in a society today that is focused on the accumulation of wealth, health, stuff, and whatever we want to, accolades, selling all of your things is definitely a version of letting go that most people don't experience in their lifetime.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like, it's not something that's easy to wrap your head around. Like, when you have the idea of, like, you know what, let's just sell all of our stuff and travel the country, like, you start to then realize, like, crap, like, that means everything. Like, everything. All except for what I can fit into my truck that's going with me. That's everything. And I think it's hard to, like, wrap your head around it unless you have that drive inside of you, which we had that drive inside of us to, like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it was even, like, I remember even telling our parents, and they were like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You
Where
know?
are you going to live?
Yeah.
And we were like, on the road. And my parents were literally like, but what are you going to do if you don't like it? And I was like, I don't know if you guys realize this, but at any point I can stop and I can buy another house and I can settle back in and I can buy back all of the stuff that I just sold in some form or fashion. Obviously, I might not be able to get the same toolbox back, but there's a lot of toolboxes that I can buy.
Yeah.
I can buy another vehicle. I can buy another house. I can do all these things. But what I can't do is not follow what I feel in my heart, which is to sell all my things and go experience the country with my wife.
Yeah.
That is not something that comes easy. And you struggled a crap load with getting rid of stuff.
I did. And I didn't, like, realize how much of a struggle it was going to be. But, like, for me, I grew up close-knit family. Like, we were always doing family things with grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles. And my grandma had passed, and before she passed, she had handed me down some, like, her china set. And there's a doll that was like 110 years old doll, like a doll that was made. Handmade. This thing, like, super old. And my grandpa, who had passed, like, made me this planter box that looked like a little bench. And it was like, what am I supposed to do with that stuff? Like, they gave me these things and they have a special place in my heart. Like, how am I supposed to get rid of this stuff? And so I really struggled with that. I was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to do this? And, you know, obviously, like, I ended up talking to my mom, and I was like, Mom, I can't take these things with me. Would you hold on to them or give them to one of my aunts or something so it stays in the family, clearly? But I struggled with that. And I did struggle with clothes too.
I was gonna say, you struggle with more than just that.
Yeah, I struggled with clothes, like letting go of clothes. Like, what clothes do I take with me? Like, I like the way that these clothes are, but you can't take everything with you.
Yeah.
And so it was like a struggle for me to figure out, like, what did I want to take? What can be versatile? What, you know, like all of these decisions. And when it comes to a lot of decisions, I struggle. I like things to be, if things are simple for me, it makes it a heck of a lot easier. And that's what I found over time, is that simplicity is where I thrive.
Yeah. Tanya needs restaurants that have 3 items. We have cheeseburgers, we have tacos, and we have corn dogs.
That would be a hard one because I'd have to get all 3.
But that would be easy for you.
That would be
if there's 800 things on there, it's going to be a minute before we can order.
It
just
is.
because that's who you are. That's how you process.
And I've
things.
had to embrace that.
Yeah, and
myself.
I've had to embrace that, as it's been pretty easy for me.
Oh yeah.
Of getting rid of stuff. I don't know why. I have been like that my whole life. If I could call Jody and Brad right now, which are my parents, they would love to tell you, since I was a young boy, when I got to the point that I was done with something, it didn't matter if it still worked. It didn't matter if it still looked brand new. It didn't matter if it still smelled brand new. If I was done with it, like, I've moved on from that, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I would literally like throw stuff away, and my dad would dig it out of the trash can because he's like, bro, we can't throw stuff away. And I'm like, but I'm done with it. I don't understand why I need to keep it.
Sure.
If I'm not gonna do anything with it, I'm over it. And so they have always said, like, nope, the second that Dustin decides he's done with something, he's done with it.
Yeah.
And so when we decided that we were going to go all in, burn the boats on selling all of our stuff, it didn't matter what it was. I had an S10 hot rod that we were building. I had a freaking sweet engine that we were going to put into it. I had a freaking Harley Davidson that was tricked to the nines with air ride, like motorcycle club. Like,
we had a lot of cool stuff.
I had a ton of cool stuff, especially as a man. I had man cave stuff before cave stuff was cool.
Yeah. Well, even think about like our gym.
Yeah,
our
exactly.
Whole basement was like a full-on gym.
Full gym.
Yeah.
Real talk.
And it was, you know, it's like, no, we're doing this. We've got to get rid of this stuff.
And so when I decide in my mind that it's time, that I'm done with something, or that we're moving, or that we're like, the second that my brain clicks, it's over.
This is how like interesting things are with Dustin. I'm just gonna share this. So I found this out the very first time when Dustin and I were together. We were living in a house together that he was renting with another guy. I had moved in with them, and Dustin and I were getting married, so we decided instead of doing a honeymoon, we were going to buy our first house with that. And the second that we knew when we were moving, like 2 weeks before we signed the papers, Dustin had already had our stuff packed up and ready to go, except for the things that we needed for the time, and he was ready to like, let's do this.
I had 3 trailers fully loaded that were inside of buildings that were literally ready to be backed up to, hooked up to, pulled into my driveway, backed in, and dropped off.
Yeah, and that happened with every single time that we moved, whether it was to a new house, to into the bus, to like whatever it was. Like, when Dustin's ready,
when it's time,
it's time. And that's just the way it's always been. And you're very good at like being on cue with like, when it's time, let's do it.
If we're gonna do something, let's do it.
Yeah.
If we're not gonna do something, then stop talking about it.
Sure.
So when we decided to sell all of our stuff, like, it was all in, and we started selling, and we started, garage sale. We made like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a garage sale because we sold, and I'm talking like $2, $5, $10, $15 stuff. because we were selling everything.
Yeah.
And by the time Tanya and I literally got from second house to apartment to the day of moving into our truck, basically,
Yeah.
and headed to Colorado to experience our first traveling with the railroad together, we got down to 6 totes.
Yeah.
And I have a picture. I wish podcasts I could
I know, put a little picture.
yeah, put pictures and stuff, because I have a picture of our truck where I had got the skateboard out that day.
Oh yeah, when we stopped at that gas station.
Yeah, and you could see, like, we literally had 6 totes worth of stuff.
It was
and
crazy.
then there was, you know, like stuff crammed in between and all that. But that was it.
That was
like
all
like
of our
like
stuff.
most people assumed when we said we sold all our stuff that we got like a storage unit for most of it. No. Like, I'm saying we sold hot rods, motorcycles. I think the hardest thing you had is when we sold your Jeep. That was like oh crap. So we sold her Jeep. We got down to
it was just
2 cars.
Yeah, because we had the Volkswagen
The truck
Jetta.
and the Volkswagen still. Yeah, so we sold the Jeep, and you hated that.
Yeah.
And then the Jetta needed a bunch of work, so I hurried up, got a bunch of work done on the Jetta, and about 3 weeks before we were going to...
I had 1 week left at my job because
That's what it was.
I had 1 week left at my job, and it was 3 weeks before we actually like turned in our keys.
Yeah.
And 1 week before I ended my job, the car sold, and that was my only transportation.
And I was leaving
to go to Denver.
Yeah. I was leaving to go out of town, so she literally had nothing.
I had nothing, so yeah, I had to rely on a friend to come and pick me up. And
every day to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like when we say letting go, it's truly a process.
Yeah.
It's truly a learning curve. It's truly something that you have to experience and understand that there's going to be things that trip you up. So what we found was ways for us to remember the things that we had, but also be able to pass them on or pass them down or pass away, whatever that looked like. And like for me, sports, I had totes of trophies and medals from when I was a kid. Literally totes of them. So we laid them out and took pictures of all of them. And so I have pictures of literally hundreds of trophies and medals and all this stuff. And it was like, I don't need the physical copy. I just need, number one, I have the memory.
Right.
Hope, God willing, I won't ever lose that. But I also have a picture that, like, when people are like, oh, you played sports. Oh yeah, you were really that good? Like, yeah, I was really that good. Right? So we have pictures, we have memories, we have stuff, right? But we got down to 6 totes worth of stuff. Yeah. And along the way, it was an experience. It was challenging. And it's because we're not taught to get rid of stuff. We're taught to keep on to stuff, right? And me and you have talked about this a million times, but I believe after the Depression is when things started changing in the US. And because people went from having nothing, like literally the Depression was crippling. Yeah. Nobody had anything. All you were trying to do was white knuckle and hold on, right? To we get out of the Great Depression, and all of a sudden we start collecting stuff as human beings. Before that, you couldn't collect stuff because you were moving by horse and buggy and you had a chest for the entire family. Yeah. And that was your pots and pans and your clothes and your toys and everything in one chest.
But you think about, like, every life experience that you have creates you to do things a certain way.
Yeah.
So like the people who lived through the Depression.
Yes.
Had nothing.
Yep.
And it was like, I don't like having nothing. So I want to have stuff.
Yeah, I want to have something.
Yeah.
And so I want to have nice stuff. And that's where I always say that, but the China hutches came in.
Yeah.
So for some reason we bought these plates and we didn't ever use them. And because we didn't use them, we wanted to show them off because they were kind of like special.
Sure.
And so we didn't have anything to do with them. So we bought all these plates and now we needed some way to like show them off. So we ended up with China hutches.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of the modern day tote.
Yep.
And this is all my opinion.
Sure.
Because we've done this. So the China hutch was a modern day tote. And so we all bought these China hutches. Everybody stocks them up. We got this great China. And then Christmas time, we get it out one time. We use it. We hand wash it. We put it back. Lock and key. Don't touch it. But look how cool that is.
Yeah.
And so that generation, which would be our parents, they went through the Depression.
Yeah, I remember my grandma, like going to my grandma Kuhlman's, we had, like, she had the China hutch, and there was the China that she then passed down to me.
Sure.
Right?
So my parents, and I can only speak for my parents, got that handed down to them that it doesn't matter what it is, if it still works, if it still looks okay, if it still could be fixed, or if you think you could use it for something sometime, today, tomorrow, or 200 years from now, you need to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you're going to end up either needing something or having to use that again.
Right.
And so my parents have a basement full of stuff.
Yeah.
And I go, every time I go back there, it makes me laugh. Because there will be a chair that's missing a wheel.
Yeah.
There will be a mirror that's got a small crack in it. There will be all stuff that I personally, would throw away.
Yeah.
Get rid of.
Right.
Not have anymore. But they got to that, they can't let go of stuff because we might need that someday. And that was always what they taught me, is like, don't get rid of stuff because you might need that someday.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a generation that was like made of garbage. So your microwave lasts a year and a half, and then you pick it up and you walk it out to the trash and you throw it away.
Yeah.
Because we don't need that anymore.
Right.
Let go. And it's helped our generation learn that, like, I don't need to keep all this stuff, right? I can let some of these things go. And so we took it a step further, and it was like, I had full gym, cars, blah, 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 all clothes, 3 bedrooms worth of crap, offices. That's what we got rid of to get down to 6 totes worth of stuff. And that sounds amazing. One tote was literally like snowboard gear and hiking stuff and camping gear.
And one tote was like, because we took an electric skillet so we could cook. I think, did we have an Instant Pot?
Yep.
Or did we buy that later?
Either way.
Instant Pot, some like utensils, plates.
Yeah.
Like some cookware.
So if I remember right, 3 of the totes were plates, cookware, snowboard gear, camping gear, hiking gear. It was like gear that we were going to use. And then the other 3 totes were like mine and your clothes.
They were suitcases.
Yeah, and whatever little stuff we had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so learning as we went that letting go was actually kind of tough. But it's now taught me that, like, nothing in this world is permanent.
Yeah.
Everything is always changing. And that's feelings, that's emotions, that's situations, that's literally everything in our life is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so being able to learn to let go is a really powerful thing, especially in this day and age where we are still in an accumulation. I just want more stuff.
And I think too, like, we kind of went through a process because we let go of everything that we owned to travel the country in 2018, 2019. 2020, we decided to move into the bus. And so it was even like through that time period, from the time that we left with 6 totes to the time that we got into the bus, like, we continued to just get rid of more stuff.
100%.
And like finding like we really didn't need, like, let's just take what we need. And we got down to just what we needed. But then it's like we got into this space of like, we stopped for a year and we started to kind of like accumulate stuff again. Clothes, art, decor, like started to accumulate again. And it was like that feel good, like, man, I didn't have anything for a while and I just kind of like want all this stuff. And then we moved back into the bus again to do a fitness tour. And it was like, man, what happened? How did I get all of this stuff?
And what are we supposed
to do with it? And it was hard to kind of let go. I remember that. It was really hard to let go. And like we were packed full to the brim on our fitness tour.
Yeah.
And then we stopped in Frisco.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like we didn't get nothing.
Minimal.
Very minimal. And even to the point of here, moving to Flagstaff, it stayed the same.
Minimal.
But it was like we had to go through that process of like, get rid of all of your stuff, travel, experience that.
100%.
But then like, do I really feel like I need all that stuff? Let me just like take it back in and let me like make sure.
Let me bask in it.
That like, is this really like what I want? And it's like, no, I truly simplicity. And I found through going through that experience of letting go the first time to then like taking everything in and not wanting to get rid of anything to letting go again, understanding like where I feel most at peace. And that is with having less stuff and the feeling of just letting go of the things that like no longer serve me, benefit me, bring me joy, like to let go of those things and have what I need. I am in a different space mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. It is like true bliss.
Yeah, and it's funny because me and you almost bought a house in Colorado.
Yeah.
And as we drove around for a whole weekend looking at houses, making plans, doing all this, we noticed that everybody's cars were in the driveway. And I've always owned a garage. I've always had my vehicles inside because I've always been a person. I've always built nice cars. I've always had nice stuff. And I always wanted it inside. We grew up in Nebraska. You never knew when it was going to hail, tornado, snow, blizzard, whatever, right? So you wanted it inside. Well, Denver's the same way. Greeley's the same way.
Right.
Colorado's the same way. But everybody's cars were in the driveway, and we just didn't understand that. Well, then we start paying attention, and some people had their garages open, and the freaking garages would be full from ceiling to floor.
You couldn't even park a car in it.
And it truly has carried on. So we went from the China hutch of our grandparents, and that was really all they had, and a couple of chests and stuff, to our parents that were like, we need totes, we need stuff, we need things, we need boxes, and we need to hold on to all of it. We're like literally storage units and garages and are at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And most people are paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month on stuff in a place that they don't frequent, and they end up forgetting even what they have, right? Until one day they're like, you know what? I don't even need anything. I've now paid $100, $500, $800, $10,000 to store this stuff, only to like throw it all away or have a sale or get rid of it all.
Right.
And it's just so interesting as a society how we have latched onto things and believed that those things, my belief was the more stuff I had, the happier I would be. The more stuff I had, the more successful I was. The more stuff I had, the more people would look up to me because it's like, damn, they got all that stuff. At one time, real talk, listen to me. I owned a 30 by 40 steel building. And the day I moved in, my wife came outside and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm looking into the garage." And she said, "What do you see?" And I said, "How are we ever going to fill this thing up?" That was what I said.
That, yeah.
6 months later, my wife came home from work. I was laid off. I was sitting in the garage.
On the Cadillac couch.
On the Cadillac couch. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "How in the heck did we fill this whole garage up?" Listen to me when I tell you this. I had 4 or 5 lowrider bicycles.
Yep.
I had 5 motorcycles. I had 2 riding lawnmowers. I had 2 four-wheelers.
3 vehicles.
I had 4 vehicles.
What was it?
The Chevy truck in the driveway.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to tear the office out of the garage so we could store more stuff.
Yeah.
Because stuff was what was going to change my life.
Yeah.
And what I found was there was a hole inside of me, a void that I was trying to fulfill with external things.
Yeah. I think I remember, like, for me, like, the biggest thing was when we moved from our house in Tecumseh, it was considered a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, small house. And we moved to our house in Bennett, and it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, full basement, like such a bigger house. And I remember like, well, we had to have stuff to fill in the spaces that we didn't have stuff. So like we have this third bedroom that what are we going to do with it? Like we need to buy stuff. So like there's stuff in there. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. So,
like,
so now we have this bedroom that we went to the store to buy things for, to fill the bedroom because we had it.
Yeah. And then,
not because we had kids.
Yeah.
Not because our dogs needed a bedroom.
Right.
Not because we were going to have parents or friends or people stay the night.
But we needed a space to like fill it so it was filled. And I remember like hating the fact, like I hated cleaning. Like in Tecumseh, I love cleaning. Like cleaning was my jam. Dustin would come home always to a clean house and I enjoyed it. And I remember like living in Bennett, it was like, man, there's just so much freaking stuff. Like I hated cleaning. You have to like more room, more space, more stuff, more this. And it was like, wow. So when it came to like getting rid of stuff, it was exhilarating. Like it was hard, but it was exhilarating because it was like, wow, like we really have so much stuff, especially like when we had the garage sale and you sold something that you didn't even know what you sold because you have so much stuff and you still to this day have no idea what you sold. Yeah.
And so not only did letting go of stuff help heal some stuff, help teach us some things, help show us that like maybe you don't need 5 vehicles for 2 people. Maybe at no point can you ride 5 motorcycles at one time. Right? But that was that drive.
Filling that void.
Yeah, and what I had done was basically worked myself into having to go to work every day. Because you couldn't afford to take off because we needed to pay for the things that we had. And so along the way, we sold all of our stuff. We get down to 6 totes. By the time we move into the bus, we're down to like 4 totes, 4 totes worth of stuff. You know, like she said, we spent a year, blah, blah, blah. But along the way, we've also learned to let go of other things. And we've learned to have different experiences. We've learned to, you know, mindset, crappy ideas, crappy upbringing, crappy, you know, things that you were taught and stuff like that, to let go, peel back some of the layers, to sort of figure out for ourselves what we wanted to do and no longer what society or your parents or society.
I was just thinking that, society.
But you got all these things and it's like we started to let go of some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
And that was because we were able to let go of stuff. It opened you up to an opportunity to like, wait a minute. I don't know that I want to be 260 pounds. I don't know that I want to stop at Casey's gas station every morning and spend $25 on things that I have to have. So I would go to the grocery or the gas station every morning and I would get 2 1-liter bottles of Mountain Dew, 2 packs of Marlboro, whatever flavor I was smoking at the time, and 2 sandwiches and 2 chips to make it through a day of work. Well, that'd be like $25, $30 every day. And it was like, that was how we lived. That was what we did. And it was like, okay, well, how can we do better with money? Oh, well, maybe we could look at the $800 a month that we spend at the gas station.
Dude, I remember when you and I first got together, we weren't even married yet. We lived in that first house. I was going to the grocery store every single day to buy groceries for what I was cooking for dinner, which we would always have like extras. And like when I started to really sit down and like budget my money, I was spending so much money going to the store every single day. And so like letting go of some of that and like, how can we do better? How can we be smarter? How can we plan better?
Right.
And all of those things.
Yeah, so it's just allowed us to really realize that nothing is permanent.
Yeah, everything's temporary.
And the things that you own truly end up owning you. And so currently in this phase of my life, we have lived in Lincoln, Salt Lake City, Frisco, Texas, and now Flagstaff in apartments.
Yep.
Okay? And the reason I like apartments right now is not only because things are really washy in this country, things are really washy in the world, which is okay. I'm not a scare tactic person, but I'm not paying $100,000 more than what a house is worth, right? Just because today it's like, well, you could pay $100,000 more than what they're asking if you want to.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean in 6 years that your house is not going to be worth $400,000 less.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's what takes my choices or whatever, but obviously we've been in different situations and we still haven't officially decided to like, this is where we want to stay, this is how we're going to live, and this is where we're going to be at. So apartment buildings are great for me.
Right.
And I've had to let go of that, like, well, if I don't own a house, wait, I'm 38 years old, I don't have 2.5 kids, I do not own a picket fence. You know what I'm saying? I 401ks and all these, I don't have all that. So I had to let go of the American dream. What society said was life.
Right.
And I've found that I truly enjoy living in apartments. Number one rule is you always want to live on the top floor so that no one's banging on your ceiling.
Always.
Right?
Same works for hotels if you're staying at
Yeah. Always ask for the top floor.
Always.
But that just comes from experience. But what I have found in apartment buildings today is they're actually everything that I'm looking for right now on the premise. So we have a swimming pool, we have a hot tub, we have a freaking sauna, we have a gym, we have a basketball court, we have parking right outside of my covered parking.
Trails.
We have hiking trails. We got all this stuff, and it's like these are the amenities that I'm looking for anyway. That I likely can't afford. I can't afford a house with a swimming pool and a sauna and a hot tub and a gym and all these things. Like you're talking multi-million-dollar homes. I'm not there yet.
Right.
So apartment living has been amazing for us because it's afforded us the opportunity to have the things that we enjoy, but it's also afforded us not to be strapped down or settled in. So what I'm trying to say with even that is the letting go of the judgment or the expectation of like, we're supposed to own houses, we're supposed to whatever, 2 cars, blah, blah.
I think like what I'm realizing is like I'm starting to question everything that I've been taught, that I've been shown, and figuring out what is it for me. Because like you said, you're taught to like go to college, get a house, get a job, have kids, do this, and that's not for me.
It just doesn't fit my life.
It's not for me. So for me, like the letting go is questioning things to find what is it for myself? What is it that I believe? What is it that I want to do with my life that maybe doesn't fit
the mold,
societal norms or this or that, and breaking free from all of that stuff and finding my true path in life.
Yes, and that's that truthfully letting go. Because it's easy for me to judge like, dude, we should probably own a house.
Sure.
We should probably, but why?
Yeah.
If that's not what I want, or if that's not where I want to be currently, then why would I do that? Well, because that's what you're supposed to do. Well, who's supposed to, and why do I have to do that?
Yeah, who said
and so it's letting go of what the expectations are, but it's also letting go of your own expectations in life.
Yeah.
For me, one of the biggest revelations I have had recently is very rarely do your expectations ever meet your experience. And if your expectation never meets your experience, you will always be disappointed.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
Unless somehow, and it does happen, that you have an expectation and something exceeds it. So like, I'm gonna go to this event. It's $200 to go to this event, and I'm expecting 2 days of blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then you show up and it's like freaking Tony Robbins, and you're like, holy shit, this is worth way more than my $200.
Yeah.
That over exceeds your expectation. For most of my life though, my expectations have never met my experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have this expectation that at 38, I'm gonna have 2.5 kids, I'm gonna have this big house, and we're gonna blah, 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 and none of that happened, so now I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I have literally failed you, I've failed our children that we don't have, I've failed everything in life, and I'm a loser because I didn't meet some expectation that really wasn't even mine. It was that what everybody else is doing. And so even all the way down to, living in an apartment and things like that, like those expectations are crippling and they crush me. And so letting go of expectations and understanding that everything's going to happen the way that it's supposed to. God's going to bring you everything that you need as long as you continue to answer the call. You show up every day. You do what you know you're supposed to do. You get in flow with life instead of pushing and pulling and trying to freaking hustle and grind and chase and do all these things, to where it's like, goose fraba.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And so as we are learning to let go in our own lives, it's all the way down to, you guys are gonna laugh at us. We have 2 pieces of clear tape over the door of our microwave. And I don't mean like to cover the microwave. I mean to keep the door closed.
So you can't.
And I don't mean because the microwave is broken. Like, stay with me here. Quit laughing. There's 2 pieces of tape so that you can't open the door.
Or if you open it, you like
You're
get that
gonna know, like,
you get
oh.
that reminder, like, hey.
Because we gave up using a microwave. They're not healthy for you. They're really kind of detrimental to your health. They're not the most ideal situation.
Yeah.
So something we were willing to do was give up using a utility that is more convenient, right? But less healthy.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm focused on my health, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and I'm trying to grow in I'm growing in every direction. And even all the way down to a couple pieces of tape on a microwave to remind you that, like, this might not be the best choice. And what I have found even there, and we talked about it earlier, is convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience does not mean good for you.
No, it
Convenience does not mean healthy.
Yeah.
Convenience or quickness does not mean that's the path that you should take.
Yeah, and it goes off of like what I just read the other day. Just because it tastes good to you, it feels good to you, it entertains you, is convenient for you, does not mean that it is good for you. And so, like, for Dustin and I, health has been a big part of our life, our transformation of our life. It's something that we focused on for over a decade, and it's constantly changing. And right now, we're in this phase of like, if it doesn't provide me benefit to my health, even if it tastes good, I don't want it. I am letting go of it. I am controlling what I am allowing into my space. I am controlling what I am allowing into my body. I am controlling what I am allowing into my mind. These are all things that, like, we're having to work through letting go of old patterns, old habits, old everything to get to where we're trying to go, which is optimal health, longevity, especially for the goal that you have, that's your life goal, which I don't know if you've shared it before, but might as well share it.
My life dream is to be married for 80 years, which would require me to be 103 years old. So in order for me, and I understand, listen, there's a million outside situations that can happen that could stop that from happening that are out of my control, right? Totally understandable. I know that. But that's not saying that it's not possible. There is a possibility. Have there been people that lived to be 103? Okay, so then it's possible.
Right.
So if living to be 103 is possible, I need to make every decision, every choice, every action, every step that I do focused on, is this putting me to 103 or is this putting me out at 73, right? And if it's pushing me to 103, I want more of it. If it's putting me out at 73, I want less of it. And so all the way down to, I have 2 pieces of tape on a microwave, so you can't make no freaking warm stuff. You have to.
And you better believe that the first week that it was like, oh, dang it.
The tape almost needs to be replaced. Let's just be crack.
But it's a process. And when you choose, like, what you decide to let go of in your life, whatever that is, it is a process.
Yeah.
And you have to understand it's a process. And you have to give yourself grace as you work through it, as you dive down it, because it's something new. It's something that you're not familiar with. And so it will take time. It is a process.
It's even like, I just want to share, like in the last, we'll just call it 10 years, I've given up cigarettes. I've given up chewing tobacco. I've given up medications that I was on. I've taken depression medication before. I've taken, prescription pain pills, alcohol, marijuana, Monster energy drinks, Rockstar, which is very recent, right?
Dairy, gluten.
And it's like, the farther we go, the easier it is to let go, and the more willing we are to accept and go on that journey. So could I go to the store today and get a Rockstar? Absolutely. Are we going on a road trip sometime and it's like, yo, it's 2 a.m. and we need, absolutely, right? Or maybe not, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's each time you get a little bit more and a little bit more. So like at first it was like, it's the weekend, we're going to be out hiking all day. Let's grab a couple Monsters, whatever. To where it's now, it's like, I don't even want it.
Yeah,
I don't even want it.
Correct.
And there has to be reasoning behind what you're letting go of, because otherwise, like, you don't stand a chance, honestly.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just hard. You're pushing the rock up the hill for no reason.
Right.
And so if you hit another rock and it no longer pushes, it's pretty easy to like, okay, on 3, I'm going to step to the side and let this thing go back down the hill.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, like I said, 103 years old is my reason. I'm not even 40.
Right.
Over half of my life, over 63, 65 more years, I still need to go. And so, dude, I've done massive damage. Cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, whatever. But our bodies are so amazing. They heal so much that today, if you choose to let go of something, you can heal from that. You can come back from that. So if I spend the next 30 years having a few less beers, whatever that song is, what does that look like? Right? How do I do the best optimal things to get me to 103? If you get in a car crash, I get in a car crash, one of us has a heart attack, whatever, we didn't make it. But I'm going to put myself in a position that's going to best set me up to make it to 103.
Yeah, and
so
that's all you can do.
Right. So that's what I'm allowing to make my decisions. Instead of like, man, it's Thursday, I'm tired. No, that's bullshit. That's bull, because this is the goal. Your feelings can't get intertwined with your goal, and that's that letting go. That's getting rid of the, I need this, I have to have this.
Yeah, and I think too, like recently, letting go of stress and worry of tomorrow. Letting go of, like, we as people allow so much worry and stress into our life, trying to think about how we're going to get this done, or I have this to do, and all of this stuff we put on ourselves, that, like, for me personally, recently, I've just gotten into such a flow of life that I don't worry about tomorrow. And a lot of that has come from me finding my relationship with God. Not what I've been told of how it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to look like, what I'm supposed to do. Me taking a personal journey of my own to develop and find what my relationship with God is. Not what your relationship is or your relationship, what mine is. And nature has truly helped me develop a deeper relationship with God, and has given me the peace that I needed so I can feel not worried about tomorrow, not worried and stressed about how this is going to work out and how this is not going to work out. And honestly, by doing that, I have been, personally, my business has been like just in this natural flow of just thriving.
Growth, yeah.
Yeah. Because
you're not pushing and pulling.
I'm not pushing and pulling, and I chose to let go of grinding to get people to work with me and to help people. And I let go of that. And I decided, like, I'm just going to do this. And it's turned into the Beauty Brigade, this woman's group that I've created. It started out as a free group that I was like, hey, I'm doing this challenge come January. And, I'm just going to invite these women to come along if they want to do this challenge with me, just for some extra accountability. And it has grown. I let go of the ways of how you're supposed to do things and how the grind behind it, and just let it be. And it has flourished into this beautiful community of women that I can't even like express how grateful I am of it. And it's beautiful because I chose to let go.
And this is, I think we've been at this a while, and I think this is where I'm going to begin to close out, is because you've worked so hard on your past, because we've worked so hard on our darkness, because we've worked through hysterectomies and loss of dogs and addictions and pain and darkness and all of those things, we were able to let go of them things, which is the baggage, which is the weight, which is, as you know, as a nutrition and fitness coach, some people come in 100 pounds heavy, right? And originally what we teach them is like, this is how much you need to eat, this is how much you need to exercise, this is what you need to do, and I'm going to be accountable to you.
Yeah.
And along that journey, they begin to heal the things that got them to 100 pounds overweight. I never right now, I'm literally 60 pounds less than when I checked into treatment.
Yeah.
60 pounds. And the reason that is, I was depressed. I was miserable. I was horribly taking care of my body because we were going through it, right? And so it wasn't necessarily the 60 pounds of food that I had ate extra. It was all the emotions and all of the feelings and all of the stuff that I was pushing down into my stomach, right? Through food, through my mouth.
Yeah.
And as I've learned, as I've healed, as I've grown, as I've matured, as I've developed, I've realized that wasn't necessarily because I was eating too much. It was because I was hurting. It was because I was in pain. And so I needed to heal those instances, or I at least needed to understand that, like, man, I didn't really like Pizza Hut that much.
Right.
I just needed that to help me through the situation that I was in. So as I have let go of the pain, of the misery that I was experiencing, naturally, I got down to 200 pounds, right? Because I stopped overeating. I started exercising. I started doing things that were good for my body and letting go of the things that were crappy.
And plus, like, letting go of the, like, having to weigh a certain weight.
Yeah, 100%.
That helps too.
Yeah, and so as we are looking forward, and it's like I have less worry, and I'm more in the flow of life, and I'm focused more on even getting more to, like, I have tape on my microwave, and that will be something I move forward with. Like, when we do own a house, it won't have a microwave, right? But it's those little things, and it's because the first steps that we took was literally I think the saying is, like, if everybody else is going that way, go the opposite direction, because everybody else is, like, headed to slaughter. The cows, the sheep are headed to slaughter. Well, when we decided to, like, I'm gonna let go of all of our stuff, and we're gonna trade stuff for experiences, because that was the original goal. It wasn't like, oh, we're just gonna be these sweet people that just sell all of our stuff, and we're gonna be so awesome when we don't have any bills and we're better than everybody else. No. I love stuff. Yeah. Trust me. But we traded stuff for experiences. And in them experiences, we got 39 states, 25 national parks, umpteen thousand miles across the country, across Mexico, across all these places that we've been and got to experience, which then you realize, like, well, damn, if I own a bunch of stuff, it kind of owns me. because now I have to take care of it, and I have to have a place for it, and I have to do something with it. Where me and you are literally still to this day, I'm 38, you're 37, I could leave right now, sell all of the little bit of stuff that we have. I could pack a backpack that is my camping pack, and I could fly to Thailand tomorrow with a backpack full of stuff, owning nothing else in this world, and be completely content.
Yeah.
Because I've realized that stuff didn't make me happy. Stuff didn't fulfill my dreams. Experiences have, growth has, development has, finding God has, building this relationship has, helping people, spreading our message, sharing who we are and what we've experienced. That is fulfilling. That is amazing. But at no point have I felt what I feel inside today because I got a new pair of shoes.
Right.
Or I got a new car, maybe for a month or two. But then you're immediately right back. And then you're probably like, I don't even want to pay this $500, man. This car is cool.
Yeah.
But crap.
Now I got to make more money.
I need to go to work. Now I need to, and it's like when
become imprisoned.
You're owned by the stuff that you own. And so it's just for us. We just really wanted to share how one letting go experience has helped us evolve and grow and understand that it's okay to have stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, we will own a house again, and we will have a garage, and we will have 2 cars, and we will do all these things. But even then, you're not going to end up with as many things because you realize that, number one, you don't need them. And number 2, they don't bring value to your life. Right. They don't add to your life. Today, I own more books than I own shoes.
Yeah.
Today, I own more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I own more. Yeah, like it's crazy. I listen to more podcasts than I do music. I watch more documentaries than I do TV. We haven't had cable. Obviously, we've been on, but like even before that, we didn't have cable.
Right.
And so it's just like that process of, if it's not bringing you value, if it's not adding to your life, if it's not something that you truly, truly want and enjoy and want to continue on doing, then we just, pop the question. Is there something that you need to let go of?
Yeah. Because
every day we look and it's like, are there things that we ourselves can still let go of?
Right.
Mentally, I'm not a runner. How many times have you said, I'm not something? And today it's like, I am a runner, right? But I had to let go of my own dumb ass of saying, I'm not a runner,
right,
to allow room to become a runner. So sometimes first you have to let go,
right,
to open a door for more opportunities to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's just been the biggest piece, is that once we started, we opened that door to allow us to see not just physical stuff to let go of, but like internal things to let go of.
Emotional, physical,
and
spiritual.
it's a continual journey. I think it's a never-ending continual journey to find what are the things that, I like to do personal inventories. Like maybe once a quarter, just kind of like take a personal inventory and see like, man, what do I need to let go of? Or what can I change? What can I do? What can I to better myself, to bring more health, to bring more wellness, like all of these things. And I think it's just, like I said, a continuous journey to always embark on and find when you want to become your best self.
Man, what a great freaking episode.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. So now we're going to let you go. We're done with you.
We're done letting go.
Yeah, we're done with you. We're letting you go. You can go now. We love you. We thank you. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Dustin and Tanya podcast.
2.0.
Bye, guys.